Hello, YouTube. So, this girl, emmanuella, and I'm sure you've all heard of her thus far, and I'm sure that she's gotten a lot of video responses. I'm sure that I can't contribute that much new to the conversation, but I'll fucking try. Every now and again, I see a video that just compels me to respond, and this is really one of them. This is terrifically hateful, I think. And it really tries to make it not look hateful. Let's jump into it. I'm gonna take a fucking page out of Justicar's book and play you some of this video on my phone and respond to it as I go, because it's not even fucking worth making a video about where I cut things up and actually do work about. So let's have some fun.
I personally don't think you can get clearer than that. One of the most requested topics I received on emmanuella has been homosexuality. For the longest time, I tried to avoid it. I reasoned it this way. For me, it was like saying murder is wrong, or adultery is wrong, or the sky is blue. Yeah, it never...
Now, as somebody who spent some time with moral philosophy, as somebody who understands the issues involved, not all moral propositions have the same weight, right? Murder is wrong, homosexuality is wrong, or adultery is wrong, that was the other one, and the sky is blue. Like, really? Like, those are your three examples? First of all, you're lumping homosexuality in with murder. Second of all, you're lumping it in with adultery, even though it, I don't even fucking know why, right? Third of all, the sky is blue. I mean, the implication is a kind of unilateral black and white moral realism that is untenable in the real world. But whatever. I'm expecting you to know something about this.
It made sense to me why homosexuality was pulled out of this category and labeled okay by mainstream media.
Yes, you heard it here first, folks. Homosexuality was made okay by the mainstream media. Fucking, this language is amazing to me, because you don't see people show their political cards this blatantly that often, right? Like, this is like watching the fucking Atheist Antidote. If you haven't seen that guy's videos, don't bother. So, mainstream media, everything is the fucking mainstream media's fault, right? I mean, she just opened up her mouth and Fox News' words came fluttering out like a dove. Fucking Rush Limbaugh could have said that sentence, right? Like, there's no... Like, it's very clear to me right away, like, exactly who is framing these topics for you, and it's not the fucking Bible.
It's very impersonal to me, so I figured let somebody who has a burden for this deal with it. But here I am. The reason why
and I still can't figure out why the fuck you are here.
I decided to talk about this. Recently, I discovered that homosexuality was a lot closer to me than I ever dreamed, and I'm finally ready to get real about it.
Oh my god, I never knew that I could know a gay person.
One day, all of a sudden, it put on a face that I recognized and I cared about. It was extremely unexpected. It shook my world.
Again, extremely unexpected. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's unfair. Like, maybe she was just some terribly naive person. Obviously is some terribly naive person. Fact of the matter is like, I can't believe that I know a gay person. Like, boggles my mind.
And all of a sudden, homosexuality became personal. My feelings towards homosexuality has not changed, but my feelings towards homosexuals has, which I feel has distinguished my approach from the majority of my Christian brothers and sisters.
Yep, because it's not like that's the official position of the Catholic Church or anything. It's not like it's not like, you know, obviously you invented hate the sin, love the sinner. Right? Like, obviously that's all you. This attitude homosexuality might be wrong, but homosexuals I might love, right? Like, it's not like that fucking... It's not like that, like, there's no other word to describe that for me, but like cognitive dissonance. It's not like that has existed in the world before you fucking came along and came up with it. God damn, idiot.
This person built up the courage to be real with me about this issue. It was so unexpected, but I knew for a split second I was feeling what Jesus feels towards people who are struggling with this. It was pure,
Now, I knew that I was feeling what Jesus felt towards homosexuals. Really? Because Jesus doesn't mention homosexuality. I mean, Paul does. It shows up a couple times in the Old Testament. You might say that your feelings are consistent with how you may think Jesus might have felt. Something like that. I don't recall Jesus ever making a claim about homosexuality, so... And you went through and fucking... did that terribly boring thing where you give a bunch of Bible quotes. Before this, none of them were out of the Gospels, right? Like, none of them were out of Christ's mouth. So when you say, I felt what Jesus feels, I mean, that's just very much a statement of, I'm gonna fucking put my opinions in Christ's mouth.
unutterable love and concern. Not the love that pats on the back and says it's all good. It was the love that seeks to reform.
Notice there's a contradiction coming up here, and it's kind of subtle. So this is not the love that pats people on the back. This is the love that seeks to reform. Go on.
The world, and especially the LGBT community, has this fluffy, watered-down idea of what Christian love really is.
Fluffy, watered-down idea of what Christian love really is. All right, cool. I mean, we could go Aquinas, right? Love is to will the good of the other as other, right? Like you could give definitions like that about Christian love. We could talk about the history of Christian love. We can talk about how that you're probably right. People in general probably do have sort of a watered down idea of what Christian love is. Mind you, again, the LGBT community as a whole feels this way. Fuck you for that. But so you're making a distinction between two different kinds of love. Let's just put all that aside. You're making a distinction between two kinds of love. Fine. Christian love and fluffy pat you on the back. Let's call it unconditional love. Now, here's the contradiction.
Christian means standing up for what is right. Why do you think Christ was crucified? His love didn't infuriate anyone. It was his stand against the pride of his nation, fueled by self-filled desires. That...
Really? I mean, it was his stand against the nation. I mean, that sounds like the love that seeks to reform, but you just said that his love didn't infuriate anyone. It wasn't his love that got him crucified, it was his stand. But isn't that stand the act of love? By your definitions? Like, I feel like there's some garbled concept of Christian theology in your head that that you can't articulate without fucking contradicting yourself.
Got him crucified. I believe that homosexuality as a practice is a blatant attack on the character of God.
I'm sorry, I needed a second.
Things were instituted at creation, the Sabbath and the holy union of marriage between a man and a woman. So,
the Sabbath was instituted at creation. The holy, like the holy bond of marriage between a man and a woman, that was not at creation. That is not. It's not Genesis chapter 1, dude. You need to go back. I think there's also more than two things that were instituted at creation. The Sabbath, sure, but also like the snakes and the rocks and the trees and the firmament. The fucking firmament was in there. Fucking goddamn it.
Time and time again, God identifies his relationship with us as a groom to a bride. It is holy, sacred.
So this metaphor that you see in the Bible is I mean, mind you, God identifies his relationship to us as being a groom to a bride. I mean, isn't God typically pictured as male? So I mean, like, God's relation to me is the groom to the bride, or groom to the bride. I wonder who'd be the top in that relationship. I guess probably God.
Designed with a purpose. Today, people believe that if you were born or grew up having same-sex feelings, that somehow or in some way it justifies the practice.
I don't think that that's what fucking justifies the practice. I think that there's a recognition of the fact that there are lines, right, associated with various kinds of conduct and blah, 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 blah. In the sense that, like, I mean, you go on to do this whole fucking slippery... I'll just let you do your slippery slope nonsense.
However, the Council for Responsible Genetics has this to say. The scientific argument for a biological basis for sexual orientation remains weak.
Scientific argument for a genetic or for a biological basis to homosexuality remains weak. I mean, so what? Even if we say, mind you, I don't even have to fucking look at your sources. Even if I just grant you that, right? Who gives a shit, right? It doesn't strike me like I don't understand. Like, some people have this notion that, like, gay people, you know, it's not like they can choose to be gay. Gay people are born that way. I don't really know. I mean, fact is, it's probably true. I mean, the accounts that I've heard, it's been the accounts that I've heard from gay people that I know, it's been sort of a self-revelation, right? I was always already gay, right? Now I just see it, right? And I don't know, I'm willing to take that at face value because it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't like this logic of, oh, they can't choose it, right? There's something fucking patronizing about that. Because the fact of the matter is that, like, if somebody just said, you know what, I'm just gonna fuck another dude in the ass, whatever, right? If some guy just chose to do that, so what? Like, the fact is, like, I don't conceive of that action as wrong, right? Like, I don't see how you could even, like, articulate that claim. I don't see how, like, that... I don't see how you can justify that, right? I don't see how you can, like, give voice to that without... I mean, I guess you just point at the fucking Bible, right? Fucking go on.
Many people struggle with anger issues since childhood. Does that justify them walking to a school one day and shooting 20 kids?
Nobody is saying... Well, I don't know. Maybe some people are, but these people are probably idiots. It's a naturalistic fallacy, right? Just it's an is-ought distinction, right? Just because something is doesn't mean it ought to be. Now, the problem is that, like, I don't think that the claim is homosexuality is good because there are homosexuals in the world, right? I don't think that that's the claim. I mean, obviously you can talk about psychopaths. There are psychopaths in the world. Therefore, what, like, not having empathy is good, right? Like, this obviously doesn't work. Fine. But do you really think that that's the case being made? I mean, really? Like, do you really fucking think that that's what's going on? Like, do you think that, like, when I hang out with a gay man or a lesbian woman, right, or a bisexual person or a transgendered person or whatever, right, do you think that when I hang out with them, like, I have this reaction that you apparently have of, like, you know, like, that knee jerk, like, oh my god, like, throws my world into fucking spins to encounter a gay person. Like I don't have that reaction. It doesn't strike me as being terribly compelling to say, like, it's not simply on the ground that this person exists, that therefore their whole lifestyle is justified. Fine. God damn it, I'm fucking rambling because sorry. I get so mad with these fucking people.
Does not excuse behavior. Many people struggle with a desire to touch people. Does that justify molestation? Others struggle with sexual desires towards children. Does that justify pedophilia? Whether we like it or not, there was a time when homosexuality was not okay.
There was a time and there was a place. It doesn't mean that before, I don't know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30. I mean, like, it's obviously become more normative as time has gone on, right? Being gay is okay. That conception has obviously taken hold in the culture more and more over the past 50 years or something. But to fucking claim that, like, there was this mythical time where being gay, I mean, yes, there were times before that where being gay was looked at as being reprehensible, but there are actually times before that where being gay was socially sanctioned. I mean, it's amazing to me that she fucking turns into a relativist here, right? Like, there was a time where being gay was wrong, but now being gay is okay, and that change is problematic.
To ask ourselves, are we going to reach a place in time where pedophilia or molestation will be justified? Oh, well, hold up.
Yeah, so that slippery slope fucking been dealt with 10,000 times. No, I don't think so. I don't think we'll reach that place. I don't think that anybody's ever made a fucking good case that we'll reach that place. Fact is, I think that we are going through a period where we're renegotiating our sexual ethics, and I think that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing. I think you could even make a Christian case that it's a good and healthy thing. Oh wait, but that wouldn't be real Christianity.
Homosexuality is different. It's not hurting anyone. Not hurting anyone? In 2005, according to the Joint United Nations Program on AIDS and the CDC, in San Francisco, 90% of all new AIDS infections are among men who have sex with men. In Los Angeles, 71% of those living with AIDS are gay or bisexual men. Not to mention that more than 50% of all AIDS transmission in the U.S. to be due to male-male sexual contact. Last I checked, AIDS hurts.
Now this is fucking great. This is gold. This is an old one, right? This is back in the 80s when AIDS was considered the gay plague or gay cancer, some would say, right? I mean, obviously, this argument is just dripping with fucking dripping with hate, right? First of all, there is no causal link between homosexuality and AIDS. What I mean here is that men having sex with other men do not produce AIDS. Does not produce AIDS or the HIV virus, right? Fact is, it's a sexually transmitted disease. Now, there are reasons why, gay sex, right, can propagate this virus more effectively, I guess you could say. I feel like it's a disgusting way to phrase it. There was a reason why gay sex propagates this virus more effectively than straight sex. I mean, you can fucking read all about it, right? Pick up a fucking sex ed textbook. Now, the fact of the matter is that the gay community is afflicted by AIDS, or has been much more severely in the past, really. Still are. Still a big issue. The gay community are the victims disproportionately of this virus, and to use that as evidence that being gay in itself is this bad thing is a fucking horrendous statement, right? Like, terrible statement. Now the fact is, like, saying okay, gay people are disproportionately affected by HIV, therefore being gay is wrong. I don't see what stops you, or I don't see how that statement isn't logically identical to the statement being, or the African continent is disproportionately affected by AIDS, and therefore being African is wrong. Being African hurts people. I mean, it doesn't seem that, like, just because some population is disproportionately affected by this virus, it does not follow that there is moral, like, weight to what you're saying. And when the fuck did you become a consequentialist? Like, why are you arguing from consequences? I mean, do you have any idea what moral framework you actually adhere to? I mean, like, it seems to me that, like, that under everything that you've been saying so far, right, under the moral assumptions that you've been taking so far, right, being homosexuality is an offense to the character of God, and it's something, or what you want to say, what I think you want to say is that it's something unnatural, right, it's something blasphemous in the sense that it goes against God's design, blah, 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 blah. Therefore being gay is wrong. That's what I think you want to say. Now, that statement is predicated on a certain theory of morality that doing something is wrong because the action is wrong in itself, right? This is a deontological ethics, to use a word that you can't, that I guarantee you don't know what it means. This is a deontological ethics. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with deontological ethics, really. I think it's an interesting ethical school. But then you're arguing from fucking consequences. I mean, like, it boggles the mind. Like, exactly how are you parsing out the moral content here? Because it seems like you're perfectly willing to drop the moral framework that you're working within, so long as you can fucking get a zinger off on the gays. Fucking God.
I understand, like I've never understood before, that it is indeed a struggle. But Jesus did not come down here, shed his blood, and give his power so that people could be overcome or given to weaknesses. For those of you fighting it, I will not venture.
See, gayness is not a weakness. Sorry.
To call you a homosexual. You are
homosexual is not an insult.
A man or a woman.
Homosexuality or a homosexual is not mutually exclusive with the category of man or woman.
Created in the image of God, who happens to be suffering with homosexual feelings.
Happens to be suffering with homosexual feelings. I mean,
I don't care what mainstream psychology is saying. We know who their sponsors are. The same.
That statement could have fucking fallen out of Tom Cruise's mouth. I don't care what mainstream psychology says. We know who their sponsors are. I'm like exhausted fucking.
You teach yourself to suppress feelings of hate, murder, and fornication is no different from this. This is something so important.
Yeah. You teach yourself to suppress feelings of fornication, murder, and hate. And suppressing homosexuality is no different than that. So just suppress your homosexuality. That sounds fucking healthy. And I'm also really interested because the implication there is that this girl suppresses murderous feelings. Like, she states this as if this is a regular practice for her, right? I suppress murderous feelings. I mean, like, I definitely have had, like, flashes of violence and, like, in situations, you get angry, you fucking want to punch somebody, and you stop yourself from doing that. Like, I get that, right? Like, I definitely get that, but I wouldn't call that suppressing a murderous feeling, right? At no point in that process am I interested in suppressing feeling X. What I'm interested in doing is not striking another person. So no, I don't think that we normally suppress these kinds of feelings. You mentioned feelings of fornication. I don't fucking know how you phrased it. Feelings, sexuality is what you're talking about. I mean, like, some people do suppress those kinds of feelings, but I feel like there are just so many cases of people like Ted Haggard. You could fucking see exactly where that leads to, right? Like, there's a question about, like, there's a question of authenticity. There's a question of being true to yourself. There's a question of sort of unfolding in the world according to the necessity of your own being, right? I am 5'9", fairly short guy, right? Like, that's part of who I am. There's nothing about that I can suppress, quote unquote. I have blue eyes. I have fucking pale skin, right? Like, I have a certain, like, category of things that are necessary about myself, right? My sexuality is tied to that. I am a heterosexual male. That label belongs to blue eyes and belongs to the same category as having blue eyes in my mind. Like, at no point do I fucking think to myself, like, do I have to debate that with myself, right? It's just something that I am. I don't know. I couldn't even imagine trying to, like, become a gay person, right? Like, I couldn't even imagine trying to do that. And I feel like the same is true about gay people, right? Like, sexual orientation is something that's very much at the root of who we are.
Heterosexuality should not be the goal of a homosexual. Holiness should be their goal. Your cure is in Jesus, not in a heterosexual relationship. And when you seek Jesus with all your heart, you will naturally fall into God's original plan.
I would love to see the fucking studies that back that one up. Seeking Jesus with all your heart as a cure for homosexuality. I mean, I guess you always have that way out, right? They didn't seek Jesus hard enough, right? You end up with that kind of slippery fucking bullshit. I mean, again, like you're trying, what I feel like you're trying to do. You know what it might be? Maybe this girl is really just loves sexual deviance and is trying to create as many, like, sexual deviance as she can. Repress your homosexual feelings, right? Like, when we do that, right, when we do things like that as human beings, like, all sorts of fun things fucking come out of that kind of shit, right? Like, it's not like there aren't consequences to suppressing homosexual feelings or someone's identity, right? There are consequences. They tend to surface in rather deviant ways. So maybe she's just trying to produce a more interesting sexual landscape. Got my eye on you.
Don't be afraid that you'll never be happy. That is a lie from Satan. Jeremiah
From Satan.
29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future." You say, "It's too late, I've gone too far." In the presence of God, you are not condemned, you are transformed. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "If any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away, behold, all things are become new." But you say, "I can't change." Philippians 4:13 says,
"But I can't change." I mean, the question shouldn't be, can you change or can you not change? Right? I mean, again, like, fact of the matter is that like, you can't. I mean, I guess it'd be a lie from Satan to say that you can't change people's sexual orientation or something. But like, it really does make me angry to hear this nonsense, right? She's gonna open up one of those fucking clinics for people to reform themselves. You know, Michelle Bachmann's husband, I think, was gay and then was fucking reformed into being straight or something. You know, psychological clinics where you fucking, I don't know. I don't even know what goes on in places like that. I feel like it's just such a terrible and frightening thing. And I feel like there is something there's something insulting, right? And I feel like the gay community shouldn't put up with being spoken to in that tone of voice. You can change if you really, really like love Jesus. Blah 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 blah. You know, it's like saying, like, you are talking to somebody as though they're, first of all, as though they are, like, let's look at how you're talking to this person. Who is the gay person that you're talking to when you say you can change, right? I mean, obviously you've just fucking assumed that they're this immoral person. I mean, as you stated, it's like saying the sky is blue, right? So they're immoral for you. But apparently they're also like, they're like children that you're trying to educate, right? This is how you're speaking to them. You're talking down to the LGBT community. And honestly, like, this is fucking right after you saying that I never even fucking knew anything about homosexuality. I never knew a gay person, right? Like, and you feel that you are licensed to fucking be giving advice on how gay people should conduct themselves and live their lives. What kind of fucking patronizing bullshit is that? Like, what? Regardless of how you justify what you're saying in your mind, right? Regardless of the fucking Bible verses you want to point to. Fact of the matter is that, like, you don't have the right to talk to people like that. Do you understand that much, right? Like, that there are things that you can and can't, or that you should and should not say to other people. Fact of the matter, like, God, it boggles my mind. Let's finish this fucking video.
We can do all things through Christ, which strengthens us. Homosexuality is a major inconvenience. I understand that. But you are not stuck. You are not a victim. You are loved, and there is an amazing plan for you. In the end, it is your choice. But no, there is hope.
Homosexuality is a major inconvenience. You mean, like, part of your identity, right? Like, I can't even fucking, I should probably, I can't. Fuck this girl. Have a good day.